Hi, I'm Jon Atack,
I'm Sam Atack.
and we're going to have a little chat about networks and hierarchies.
I'm going to start this off. The difference between a network and a hierarchy. So hierarchies, usually you have a single point. Let's think about this in terms of knowledge, where, say, the knowledge comes from one person and descends down the hierarchy to multiple people. Whereas with a network, everybody can contribute and communicate. That doesn't mean that you can't have hierarchies within a network, but it's more on individual subjects where you can have people giving out information rather than the guru idea that we talked about in a previous video.
Once.
Or
a video that will come after this, depending on what sequence.
Depending which way it goes.
Yeah. I like the ones where we say, next we'll talk about.
And then we never.
There was one where we swapped seats and jumpers, sweaters rather, for our American audience. And Spike got quite confused because she didn't, they didn't come in sequence. And we'd said at the end of one video something that would lead to this paradox. But
and there was one where we said we'd talk about something, and though we kept rewatching the video, we kept forgetting what the subject was that we were supposed to make the video on.
We still don't remember.
I don't. Yeah.
It's the missing link in our videos. But in this case, I mean, I for some years have mistakenly been using the term scale-free network, which, having gone and looked at it, I don't understand at all. But the thought is that the internet connects through nodes, and among those nodes there are hubs, and that you can take out the nodes and the thing will keep on working, but there are more centrally connected points which are hubs among the nodes, and you might have a little bit more difficulty if you zipped one of those out. But the idea is really, as opposed to a kind of pyramid of authority where somebody's the know-it-all at the top, and you have to do as they say no matter how ridiculous it is, and that is a traditional form. We find it throughout our institutions, our religious institutions. Not all of them, but many of them tend to be,
God, Pope,
clergy, through the cardinals, the bishops, and this whole set of ranks. And the military, and you can understand why in the military it's probably sometimes a good idea to have somebody who says, run that way.
But it's also a good idea to have intelligent disobedience on top of that. So when it's run that way, when you're obviously going to be shot down by machine gun fire.
You're riding into the valley of death, along with the 600.
Ours, it's not to reason why. Ours is to do and die.
So we're, in advocating open-mindedness, in advocating non-authoritarian behaviours, in advocating democracy, equality, gender equality, racial equality. These are all ways of creating a network instead of a hierarchy, accepting that there are, as we've said, some instances where a hierarchy is necessary. If you're to have a legal system, then a judge has to have authority. If you're going to have a political system, then Boris Johnson has to have authority. Maybe this isn't working. But it's really, what I'm really getting at is it's the same in the idea of the guru, that although you can have somebody who has a great deal more information than other people, and that can be fitted into a network where we fit together our information. Now, there is... the amazing sociologist Ali Sagan wrote a book called At the Dawn of Tyranny. And in it he describes the progression of societies. And maybe we should pick that up in another video in more detail. But he talks about the development of society and explains that fundamentally, since the Sumerian society, which is the origin of Babylon, Egypt, India, and the Chinese society, though there was probably some Cambodian influence on the Chinese society too, that the idea was that you did indeed have God, the other gods, the king, and the rest of you, the rest of us, in fact. And that it doesn't have to be that way. And the urge towards democracy and the sharing of information, rather than having a kind of priestly caste of the only people who can read and write, and who often will actually speak a different language even to the people around them. So it was noticeable that the Aztecs had 3 ranks and 3 languages and even 3 drugs, mescaline, psilocybin, and ololiqua, which is morning glory seed. And the warriors had one lot, and they were the bosses, and the priests had another lot, and the common people another. In the Russian aristocracy, you had the situation where the priests would speak Greek, the peasants would speak Russian, and the aristocracy would speak French. So it can divide that far. And going against Machiavelli's idea in the discourse is that the perfect society is one that has a king, a senate of the aristocracy, and a commons represented. We'd like to get rid of the king bit.
Yes.
And we'd probably like to get rid of the aristocrat bit, but accepting that those who know about something are best informed to make statements about it.
Yeah.
Whereas those who don't know about something should be informed. So that's a little bit about that, and we'll talk about tyranny in a minute, but it might be 6 months before it's posted. I mean, we just don't have control over these things, because as a network, we let Spike decide when things will go up. We are just the workers down here working with the ideas and bolting them together, and Spike decides what to do with them. I'm Jon Atack.
I'm Sam Atack.